Morning, everybody. If it's morning where you are, I would like to say I'm feeling bright and breezy this morning, but I was out last night celebrating a colleague's 30th, hence the mug of tea to keep me going. So this might not be the most polished presentation you've ever come across, but I will do my best to get through it for the next 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to do a little presentation today on how to jazz up your Jamboard with Canva. This is something that's, well, I'm a teacher first and foremost for home economics, but I'm also very heavily involved in Google and GEG Scotland. And it's one of the things I'm always getting is people coming to me and asking me, how can I make this more digital? We've got obviously all these resources and people want to try and make them more digital for their students. And the most common one you'll probably get asked yourself over and over again is, oh, how can I make this worksheet digital? How can I make this workbook digital? So I kind of found a solution by fusing together two of my favorite things, which are Jamboards and Canva. I absolutely love Canva. So what I'll do is I'll show you, well, I'll talk you through some of the things that we do. Thinking first as well about how you use Jamboard yourself. Most people, when I speak to them, they tend to think of Jamboard as almost like a starter activity or an exit task. And they tend to just kind of pop it up on the board. They might have a question and they don't really do a huge amount with it. I mean, it is great for that. It's a fantastic tool, maybe for mind mapping as well. But there's actually a lot more that you can do with the Jamboard. So one of the things that I love about Jamboard, and I appreciate there are loads of other different interactive whiteboard tools on the market. You can get loads of them. I mean, FigJam is the other one as well. But the main thing that I like about Jamboard is it's really simple. And I think it's the simpleness of it that makes it so appealing and so easy to use. A lot of people, when they're faced with an interactive whiteboard for the first time, they panic and they maybe freeze up and they're not gonna, you won't get as, they're so focused on the actual process of putting their thoughts onto this that they might not necessarily make the most of the experience. So ultimately, the best thing about Jamboard is it's really simple and people don't need to worry too much about using their post-its or their text boxes. And you find that the students actually adapt to it very, very quickly. It's a really good focal point for a lesson as well, not just for the whole class, but I often share the links or make a copy of a Jamboard for each student and they can all kind of bring their attention in. And it's great because when you do that, you'll see the whole class suddenly focusing on their screens and the room goes quiet, which is always a good sign because they're really kind of honing in on the task. And it's versatile. Hopefully I'm going to show you a few tricks that you can do today with your Jamboards and Canva, and you'll see that you can actually do a lot more with it than just as a starter or an exit task. So starters and exit tasks, brain dumps, mind mapping, they're your kind of standard ways that I would use it in the classroom. The subject I teach, home economics, we have a lot of dishes that we have to examine, that we have to break down. And I've started using Jamboard and Canva together to work as an annotation tool. So I'll maybe use the image in the middle of the Jamboard. I'll make a copy for each student and then they can actually start annotating it. And they can also go online and find their own images of dishes or different things happening in the kitchen and they can annotate it. And that again is really good. So I can imagine that being transferable across maybe some more of the science and technical subjects too. But it's the workbooks where it's really kind of come into its own in my classroom. So much so that the pressure is now on me to redevelop all our textbooks that we've ever had within our classrooms and actually start redoing absolutely everything. It's one of those things you kind of wish you hadn't started, to be honest. So now we have these digital workbooks. They've got video content. Yes, you can put video content in a Jamboard, and they've also got interactive tasks. So bear with me while I try and transfer over and show you some examples. So if I stop sharing this one, I have to talk myself through this. This is, and I'll go on to which tab have we got it on? Right, okay, I'll show template number 1. So I'm going to show you 2 of the workbooks that I've created and some of the tasks that are in there. And if I don't talk too much, then we'll have enough time for us to show you how we make them. So hopefully you guys are now all seeing this. It's just loading up, I think. There we go. So this is one of the covers for one of my Jamboard workbooks. And this one here it's all part of a unit. It's one of the limitations of Jamboards is you're restricted to 20 pages. But that can actually be quite good because then you can break it down by chapters. So this is the first workbook that my students have, and this is for third year practical cookery. So this here is actually just a template. This one is lifted directly from Canva. I'll show you where to find those in a moment. But you can see here we've got a SWOT analysis. It's a great getting to know your students task as well. The typical traditional textbook that they had loads of just pictures of equipment that they had to learn, and they had to write down the boxes. So as a Jamboard in class, this was great because they were just literally, a lot of them still like using the sticky notes at the side here, but some of them were actually choosing the text boxes. And the text boxes, they would just literally click on the tool and then they would type in whichever they want. And of course, they can click and drag that around as well. So it's really, like I say, it's the simplicity of a Jamboard that I actually love and that I find great to use with the students, especially the third years who have a very short attention span at the best of times. So we go through these. This is just, it's a bit repetitive. And if you're not into cooking, probably not really up your street. But this was a task. So they were able, because this was all based on the Jamboards, and they were able to go online, look and do a Google image search. They were able to find images for other pieces of equipment and create text boxes. So again, it was another additional task. So here we've got a little bit of a video clip. This is just actually from the stock video that you get in Canva, but you're able to insert that in if you use as a GIF. And again, this is just a station task that they would do. So this is the first workbook that they worked through. They had a knife skills and safety task as well. They had to identify the different ones. And again, we have these little short video clips. You wouldn't get that in a paper textbook. You know, you couldn't get that in a worksheet. This is why Jamboard was so brilliant for this. So I'm going to stop sharing this one and I'm going to show you the other one that I did. Let me see. And that will be, I didn't very helpfully give them names which were quite easy to distinguish from each other. Where are we? I think this one here. So I put a few other tasks in this one. This is, hopefully, is that loading up? There we go. So here we started looking at methods of cooking and heat transfer. Now, when you make your master Jamboard, see, I was getting quite experimental at this point here. When you make your master Jamboard, you can actually put objects in it that can be movable. And when you make a copy for each student, they also get those objects. So this one here was literally, we always get asked about click and drags. So this is your click and drag. So you can click and drag it to the correct one. Better make sure I get the right answers here. Ooh, convection, well, that'll be your oven, and conduction. So a very simple click and drag exercise where they can identify those methods of heat transfer taking place. I also was inspired. We used to use Pear Deck for a wee while. And one of the things I really liked and my students enjoyed was the connecting, drawing the lines. So they were able to use the pencil tool and they could just grab a pen, whichever color they fancied. And then they were able to draw the lines to whatever was happening and draw little diagrams and so on. So this was, again, another interactive component that you could add to your Jamboard as a Jamboard workbook. And you can just see here, this is them there. So that's some examples of ones that I've done. Right, so we're about halfway through our time here, so I'd better keep going. Right, I'm now going to try and attempt to share my Canva screen with you to show you where I get all this stuff from. In fact, I'll be safer if I do the entire screen. So we'll go on to Canva. And nope, that's not it there. Okay, right, I'm going to, hopefully this is coming up now. Right, is everyone seeing my Canva screen? Because this is a desktop app that I've got.
Not yet, we know.
No. Right, that should do it now, hang on. Oh yeah, I'm getting the message on the bottom, so hopefully you can see it, yeah?
Yeah, well, it's coming in. Yeah, we've got it.
Awesome, thank you. I told you this wouldn't be the most polished one. Right, okay, so when you go into Canva, if you've not used Canva before, or if you've not signed up for the free teachers account, then please do. It'll be the best thing in the world, okay? Honestly, this will transform your life. Everyone gets into this. I have a PE teacher that I work with who just doesn't do anything technical at all. I showed him how to use Canva, and he thinks he's God's gift to the world now because he's just amazing at all his presentations, slideshows, and he keeps sending them out to everybody. It's actually getting a bit tiresome anyway. Right, okay, so when you go into Canva, you've got your welcome page and it's going to ask you for what you're looking for. And you've got a choice. You can choose between templates or projects. The templates is the best bit. So if you literally type in Jamboard, in fact, it'll come up, will it not? And you'll get literally hundreds of different backgrounds that you can use. And you can adapt every aspect of these. So even if it's just like a really, really basic background or a style of boxes that you quite like, you can click on it and you can use that as your template. So I'm going to show you one that's, in fact, if I go into home, I think I've got it set up already. So if, this might be my projects. Yeah, so this is actually one, I tend to use this quite a lot. Not because I'm talking about going back to school, but I really like the border. You maybe recognize it from the earlier ones. So like with Jamboards, with Canva, you can adapt every element of it. So you just click it when it's highlighted. So I want to get rid of the wee school bus. So I'm going to take that away and I'm going to change the text here. The thing about these is as well, it's so quick to adapt these and make them. I've literally done it if I've got a class coming in between classes. You can do it in about 4 or 5 minutes and upload it, and then you've got a great starter task. So write down one word describing how you feel about, let's change it to this year to Spark Camp. The exclamation mark. Right. And then I'm going to take, let's keep back to, and then we'll get rid of that. And then I'm going to just make it back to Spark Camp. Okay, so that's a very basic one. Now, this one here, you can see you've got an animated element at the back moving around. You can keep that as animated if you want, or you can change it. If you don't like the color scheme, if you click on that, you know that it's showing up. It's the border because you can see the color up in the top there. That's your background color. So I'm going to change that. Let's go for a nice kind of pale green. You could change the text and all that, all these different things as well. Let's add something else in it. Let's go for an element. Let's see if we can find a light bulb. All right, so that's a cool light bulb. That can go in there as well. Oh, it goes at the back. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? That's perfectly positioned. It's as if it knew. Okay, so I can maybe make that a wee bit bigger. And I'm just going to move it over a little. Okay, right. Now, the difference is between getting your animated component, or if you just want it as a flat component, that's absolutely fine. What you need to do is when you're happy with your design, you go into share up in the top here. And when you go to the share part for downloads, you've got options here. Now it says to suggested as a video, ignore that. If you want to keep it animated, if you want to have an animated background like that, then you need to download it as a GIF. If you're not bothered about that, and I'm just going to do it just to make it a wee bit quicker here. If you go for a JPEG, that'll be a little bit better. So that means that the moving aspect of it won't be there, but that's fine. You've got the warning message there. So I'm going to download that now, and hopefully it'll happen quite quickly. Okay, I'll just keep it in there. Already. See, I've used this one before, can't you? So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to take it back to, we get back to Spark Camp. And we'll save that. Now it's happy. That's good. Okay, right. I'm now going to go back into my, I should have a blank Jamboard in here. Okay, I'll just make that a bit bigger for you. And when you are wanting to insert that, this is where the magic happens. This is the best bit up here. So if you click on that, and you've got this one here where it says image. So hopefully by the magic of, where are we in my downloads? back to Spark Camp. There we go. And I'm going to press open. Fingers crossed this works. Yay! Okay, and that's your Jamboard. So that could be a starter task, or you could do something a bit more complicated with it. So that's one of those ones. To do the more interactive tasks, like the ones where they were identifying pieces of equipment, you can go back into it. I'm going to get rid of these elements here. I'm going to keep my border because I like my border. And if you go into your, I'm in here and just trying to think. If I put in tables, I'm going to get pictures of tables as well. Nice dancing table down the bottom. But you've also got these tables here, which are quite good to use. Now, very often, these are a great way to kind of move things around on your page, but also organize the data as well. And one of the things I love about Canva is the way it matches up your kind of color palettes to what you're doing as well, which is really good. So we could make this one, let's go for, how is your Christmas shopping going? I know mine's isn't going well. Oh, typo. That's it. My task later on today. I'm being dragged out around the shops. Just what I really want to do. Okay, so you could start putting information in there. What is on your Christmas list? And then the students could fill in this information themselves. You might want to make it look a little bit pretty with a wee bit of images on there. So I'm going to, obviously for Christmas, I know it's far too early to be talking about Christmas, guys, isn't it? Oh, I like this one here. He's good. So I'm going to shrink him down a little bit. And I'm going to put him up here so he can be, I'm going to move that over ever so slightly. So there we go. We've got Santa kind of leaning over the top of that page, pointing down. And again, you could really easily just download that and add things to it. How we're doing for time. Right, I'm going to put a wee snowflake in as well. Although if you've been watching the news, you can see that that's definitely not snow that we're having in Scotland at the moment. It's been torrential rain. It's been horrific. I nearly couldn't get home from Glasgow last night because the trains were all getting cancelled because the lines were all flooded. Okay, so we've got a nice wee snowflake in here. I've got to make it greens. Pistachio green is not Christmassy enough, is it? Let's make it Santa red. Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, you can get the message from this. There's just so much you can do with your backgrounds. And the only thing I would suggest is it says to add a page. If you do multiple pages within this, you can't, when you try to upload it into Jamboard, it doesn't work. So you have to do a page at a time, but that's fine. Just make sure when you're, one piece of advice is to use the folders within Canva just to keep your stuff nice and organized. I've got wee notes down here to make sure I don't miss anything, but I think that's pretty much it. So has anyone got any questions for the last couple of minutes? I need to go back into the chat bit. Oh, where are we? All right. So has anyone got any questions about that at all? Nothing in there. Oh, thanks for the applause, Georgina. So good to see you again. Oh, you've got your Innovator t-shirt on. Oh, crikey, I should have put mine on. Okay, well, if that's it, guys, thanks for coming along and putting up with me. And
no problems. Thank you very much, Carla, for sharing. I've popped for everybody the link